So my name's Alison Ritchie. I head up the product team at VETtrak, and just a thank you to everyone who's joining us for episode 4 of our remote control series. For those of you who've maybe missed the first 3, you can check those out. We've got recorded sessions at the microsite, which is readytech.com.au and then /remote-control. So really this series has been focusing on supporting you with practical steps to make contactless education a reality. And today we want to showcase VetEnroll. So VetEnroll is VETtrak's online enrolment solution, and really from whether it's one-day courses or to more complex multi-year enrolments, we can do that. VetEnroll makes processing enrolments and payments easy, and it also just allows you to present your course offerings, take enrolments, receive payments, all online, and a lot of that can even be self-serve from the student's perspective. So our real message through all of these webinars and today is that we're here to help. We've invested in your success and we want to support you. And really, if you've ever thought about the move to online, well, there's never been a better time. So Michael's going to give you details of an offer that you can get started today, as we'd like to really help you in that journey. So VetEnroll's been solving problems for over 10 years, and we've got really strong adoption in the market. And joining me today, as you can see by the photo, is your host for the day, which is Michael Romain. And Michael's been with VetEnroll since its inception. So Michael's going to be steering you through the session today. At the same time, as you can already see, there's a Q&A panel that a few of you have kindly commented on already, and that's going to be open throughout the webinar. So we hope to get to some of those questions at the end, but if not, we'll circle back and make sure your questions are answered. So without further ado, I'll hand over to you, Michael, if you want to take the reins now.
No worries, thank you, Alison. So at VetEnroll, we know some of the problems that you guys all face out there, and we have something to offer you today that we hope will solve some of those problems you have. So without further ado, let's dive in. Online enrolments and payment with VetEnroll. Okay, so let's have a quick look at what we're going to cover today. We're going to have a look at basically what can VetEnroll do. Have a look at how you go about collecting a payment or what payment options are available. How do you go about implementing VetEnroll? A brief demo walkthrough, a really simple one. And we'll have a look at the offer that we have for you today and finally, and how you get started. And then finally, we'll have a look at any questions that arise during the session. Don't forget to if you have any questions, to submit those via the chat functionality on the Zoom toolbar. Okay, so what problems are we solving with VetEnroll? Enrolment requirements change by organisation. They can vary from a simple workflow to a complex multi-document process that requires multiple people to be involved with. VetEnroll can be adapted to meet most organisational needs. So we cover everything from short, non-accredited courses to full, complex diploma-type enrolments. We can deal with scheduled classes, rolling intakes that cover many students in one occurrence, starting at different times. We can do funded or fee-for-service enrolments. We cater for individuals and employer bookings. We can do eligibility tests and track that and enable people to be sent out specific links for specialised enrolments where state funding is required. We have lots of compliance checks and balances in our system, so we cater for all the USI stuff, collecting USI, collecting Victorian and Queensland Louis numbers, things like that. All of VetMIS compliance is managed and all that kind of stuff. LLN, pre-training reviews, that kind of stuff. We also enable people who want to, just to enable them to lodge just a course inquiry and sit their inquiry within the waitlist in VetTrack. We cater for multiple workflow types, so low touch, quick in and out collect the fee, right through to complex diploma type enrolments. Okay, so what options are available for payment? At the moment, we're offering VetEnroll can collect credit card payment from your potential students, and today we've got a special. We're promoting Stripe as the go-to provider for that. We do cater for other payment providers like eWay, Secure Pay, but we find that the Stripe payment service is probably the simplest and easiest one if you want to get up and running really fast. We also cater to payment plan providers. So if you want a student to pay their enrolment off in instalments, which is probably well suited for full course fee for service type enrolments, we offer integrations with Easy Debit and Debit Success. In addition to that, we have the full gambit of usual payment options like Invoice Me, Pay Now, Invoice My Employer, funded payments, so people can choose to pay through vet student loans, for example. We also offer flexible payment arrangements, so you can implement discounts and coupon codes so that people can quote a coupon code and receive a discount. We also cater for credit card surcharges so that you can pass on that credit card fee to the end user if you so desire. VetEnroll can automatically create your invoices and record those payments in VetTrack, where payment is collected up front in the case of credit card gateways. Okay, so how is VetEnroll implemented? So VetEnroll is a complete online solution that can be integrated into your website. So the first thing you need to do is to get underway with VetEnroll is to adopt the VetTrack API. The VetTrack API is the magic bit that it sits in the middle between VetTrack and the internet and enables you to basically talk to the web. Even if you don't have a website, you still need to have the VetEnroll gateway API set up, the VetTrack API set up, so that you can that facilitates the connection between VetEnroll and VetTrack. But it's not mandatory to adopt any special configuration within your website or anything like that. It's completely optional. Once you've had the API set up, you then go into VetTrack and create your courses and occurrences and publish those. Once the courses have been published, which I'll show you in a few minutes, you then send either via your website or via email or social media links. You send or give students a link for them to click on to start the enrolment process. The student then completes the enrolment process, which then pushes all that data to VetTrack. At the same time, if you have a credit card payment gateway integrated, the student will be taken out to the credit card gateway to complete payment. On completion of the successful payment, that will be taken back to VetTrack and all recorded, so that you don't have to do any of that process manually. We also have other options. So there are the ability to create a multi-step process. So in the case of say a short course enrolment, sometimes we like to capture some basic information up front, and then perhaps have the student come back in later on to complete their AVET information and other bits of important compliance data. We find this helps people remove the barriers that could be associated with some of the big, long process type enrolments that are needed, especially in the case of funded enrolments. Okay, so with the non-payment, so some of the payment methods that we have do not result in an immediate payment. In those cases, you can record that payment manually in VetTrack. Okay, so I have some examples here. We have, as I say, a few hundred people that have adopted VetEnroll now, so it can basically take on the look and feel of your website. The standard interface, which I shall show you in a second. This is typical of a standard splash page that a client, this is our demo instance, that a student might come to. So you have the ability to configure a bit of a splash page, and you can incorporate graphics and links and all that kind of stuff into that. The important bit is that there is a list of courses that have been published in your VETtrak database, and they will appear as a set of links either on the left or the right hand side of the page or underneath, depending how you have it set up. And then basically to get underway, the student clicks on a link to for the course that they're interested in, and it will start them off to list the different occurrences. So if we have a look at this one. Basically, we get some information that all this information here is generated directly from VETtrak. So within the program manager. So I might just flick over now and show you where that might be stored. So in VETtrak, we work using the programs and occurrences of VETtrak. So for example, here's a course, which I'll use the basic computers course. Within VETtrak, we have this description field here that you're able to put and format your own HTML content. That can be as complex or as brief as you like. Basically gives people some instructions to people landing on the page to show them what they need to be aware of. For example, any prerequisites and any pre-enrollment information that you need to convey to the student. Once you've published that, then it's a matter of using the program manager to publish courses. So you can see here in our VETtrak, we have a heap of occurrences set up, and really from there on, show you this one. Then it's just a matter of adapting some of the fields in a standard VETtrak occurrence to suit your requirements. So there is the ability again to display a description from the occurrence itself. So if you've got any particular peculiar requirements for this individual course, you set up the start and finish date, and all the other information is pretty much, you can set up your fees. So in this particular case, there is a fee on this fee available on this course of $99. The only other thing you need to do is basically set up a maximum number of clients that you want to enroll in the course. You can assign trainers and things like that as well if you need to at this point. The most important thing is to have a number of people, spots available in your course. Click through the occurrence, and then you must publish it. So this one's already been published, and it's also processed so that it's processed for auto enrollment. And it's been set up so that clients or only clients can enroll at this stage. It is possible to set them up so that clients and employers can enroll. And when an enrolment comes into VETtrak, there are two options. You can allow the enrolment to proceed in as an enrolment straight away, in which case this auto process web reservations is flag is ticked. There is also the ability to have a quality assurance process, if you like, and if that has been set, there will be a web enrolments functionality within your VETtrak, and you'll be able to see enrolments and approve them before they do get pushed in as an enrolment. This is quite handy for people, especially on longer term courses where they need to check information, validity of stuff before we, before approving an enrolment. Okay. So once you've set up your programs and published your occurrences, from that point on, they will appear within the standard VetEnroll configuration display on the web. Just going to show some different examples now of what kind of things can be done. So that first screen we looked at was the standard way. It's possible to adopt a calendar view, like how this client has done here, or if you like, we have different types of options that you can view. So this particular one here is a schedule view where you have a list of courses that are presented from your VETtrak, and they're listed by state and in a chronological order, so people can just click on the enroll now link to have a link. If you have lots and lots and lots of courses, we have ways to be able to manage the display. So this particular site here has their courses divided into program types, followed by programs, and then finally display the individual occurrences themselves within a program. Probably the most common link that, or the way to interface to VetEnroll, is by simply giving a standard link with a program ID on the end that enables students who have perhaps expressed an interest in a particular course to be able to be taken directly to a list of occurrences that have been set up for that particular course. And this is probably the most common way that people integrate a link like this into their website. They just have a button on their website that says see more information, and it pops out to this screen like this. Okay, probably the thing to do now maybe is we'll step through and have a look at an example. This particular example I'm going to use is going to use the what we know as our rapid enrolment or our short course enrolment process. This is much quicker and frictionless compared to the full enrolment process that can take users through anywhere up to 20 different screens. So ideal for demonstrating in a hurry as well. So basically this can be implemented as an iframe on your website, and it can just basically sit over the top of a little spot that you've got perhaps on a course display page. So you can set it up to go straight to a particular course. And this one here is actually going straight to our basic computers course. And the user then just picks their location and decides which course they'd like to adopt. You can see here we can display vacancies, or certainly display the course name, the date and time it starts, its location, and the number of vacancies. When a course is starting to fill up, we can change the character of this button so that it tries to create a sense of urgency with the person on the other end, getting them to call to action quicker. Once I've picked up my course, so I'm going to do this one on the 7th of April. I'll book now. With our basic enrolment or our rapid enrolment process, we only need to capture some basic information. So we can start with simply a name, a mobile phone number, and an email address. We do capture a consent to some kinds of terms and conditions. That's up to you. That's completely optional. If I had a discount coupon, I could apply that. I don't have one set up at the moment, but I could easily have a special offer. We cater to all kinds of different discount types, for example, percentage off, a fixed dollar amount off, a one-time only coupon, and things like that. And there's also just a final reminder of the classes that the course that the student will need to attend before they click on the next step. So basically, that's all the information that we must collect. This particular one here, we've added an extra step, just a custom question step. Now, this is something that you can implement to ask questions that are not covered within the standard processes, things that are peculiar to your organisation and stuff like that. I'm just going to skip that one for now and go straight to the booking step. So now what happens now, I've been taken straight out to the credit card payment gateway, and bear with me while I complete a payment. Yep, confirm my payment. Now at this point, what's going on is it's reached out to the Stripe payment gateway, taken my credit card details, checking the validity, and hopefully it's going to come back to me with a successful payment. And when that happens, it will then do a couple of things. The most important thing from your point of view, though, is that it actually creates an enrolment in VetTrack. It also records the payment, which we should be able to have a look at now. I'll go over to VetTrack. course I enrolled into. Just make sure it didn't. I think I'll do with it. Okay, yeah, for some, I know why. For some reason, I've already used that email address in VETtrak before. So if the person is not known to, is known to VETtrak, and the name and email address match up, that will get automatically pushed. This particular one didn't because I was naughty and reused an email address, but it still made it to VETtrak okay. I can quickly show you the validation process. I'm going to create a new client. So I've got three options. I can match a client, keep the existing details, create a new client with new details. Yep. And now that all the boxes are green, I can actually process the enrolment. And there is also an option here at this point to send an email notification out to the student. VetEnroll also does that. And we can have a look here at the processed enrolment. Is, and we should be able to see also that there has been a payment made, credit card payment made. Okay. There are other bits and pieces you can do too. You can send follow-up messages, things like that. Now, with the rapid enrolment process, you notice that we didn't capture any of it misinformation or anything like that. We also have the ability for a follow-up process that you can automate by email. Whereby the student completes the information they gave in the first step, but now they have an option to come back and actually complete some further information like their misinformation. So this is also a fairly straightforward process. The student needs to put in their name, date of birth or email address will work. This is not my real date of birth, but we'll get in there. Okay, so once the system has confirmed who I am, so it knows because I've been here before with those details, it was able to confirm that. It will then pre-populate with any information that's already known from VETTrak. If none of this was known, none of this will be filled in, and the student will have the option to create it all from scratch. USI, not going to collect it. I mean, you can add it. Oh, let's do one. Collect that misinformation. Some questions, the VetNIS page itself can be tailored to suit your needs to a certain degree. Some questions are mandatory, some are voluntary, but must be asked at least. So that's why they're not all mandated. We capture a final privacy notice and complete the registration. Now, what that will do is on completion of this process, all that updated information will be pushed straight through to VETTrak, and there'll be eliminate the need to manually transcribe an enrolment form from paper back to VETTrak. Okay. Cool. So that was some examples. Oh, demo time, we've just done our demo. Okay, so to help as many of our clients get up and running as fast as we can, we've come up with a special offer. We've implemented a fast track setup process. So what we've done is implemented a quick limited branding process to enable you to get, or to enable us to reduce the setup time so we can cater for as many people as we can in as quick a time as we can. And we've also implemented shared onboarding sessions so that there are 2 sessions run per week for you to join in and watch presentations from some of the knowledgeable members in our team, and also a chance within those sessions to ask questions and answers that might be peculiar to your circumstances. You can join, there's no limit on the number of sessions, so you can hop in one early in the week and hop in a second one later in the week if you feel like you need that extra help to get you set up and running. In addition to that, we have waived all setup fees. So setup fees used to be $2,000 for VetEnroll to get started. That's all a thing of the past for a limited time. We are also implementing free API access from now until your subscription renews. So previously, to access the VetTrack API, you needed to be on one of the VetTrack enterprise levels of subscription. So for a limited time, we're enabling this for professional users as well. And we're also talking to our infrastructure guys and got them to do a special hosting offer for 2 months, so that you can actually have a place to be able to easily publish your enrolments to the internet. If you're a self-hosted person, client, this is probably a good offer to take advantage of. So you're having to set up secure certificates and worry about bandwidth to your servers and all kinds of things like that. So if you're thinking about implementing VetEnroll, I would strongly recommend you look at the hosting offer as well. So the benefits of all this, so we can get you up and running quickly, and with our streamlined service, we can move you to hosting to fast track your ability to get online, taking enrolments as soon as possible, and no setup fees, so there's no pain in the pocket either. Okay, so what are the essentials to get set up? A VETtrak API is that's set up and accessible to the internet. That's the first requirement. You then need to do a little bit of work to publish your courses via VETtrak and set up some appropriate content and wording within the programs and occurrences structure in VETtrak. You'll need to set up a Stripe account if you want to take online payment. And if it is a requirement, we have some information to help you get that set up. It's not necessary to have a website. Obviously, if you've got one, it's a good idea to be able to put the links into the website, but you can use other marketing channels like email and social media as well. So want to learn more? Everyone will get a follow-up email sometime later today once all the recordings are going through and everything's been set up. So this will have some more information that you can pursue at your leisure. If you want to dive in straight away, please feel free to contact our sales team on the number or the emails shown on the screen. And that basically completes my presentation, but thank you for joining. Let's see if we've got any questions.
I am just conscious of time here. So one of the questions, maybe you could you did go over this, but a couple of questions coming up. Does this work with all versions of VETTrak, and what are the minimum requirements again for VetEnroll? And then I think we'll probably take the other questions offline. We'll make sure that we get all of your questions answered if you have put them in today.
Yeah, no worries. So yes, with the special offer, it is now available to all VetEnroll clients. Professional users are getting the offer for an upfront offer. So yeah.
And maybe one of the other ones that had come up is a quick one for you, I think, Michael. Can we take group bookings through this as well?
Oh, yes, you can. Sorry, I didn't have a chance to cover that, and I didn't show that, but yes, you can do group bookings as well.
Okay. Well, thanks everyone for your time today. We will keep it to the time. I'm sure you've got a lot going on at the moment, and we want to keep that. Hang on a sec. Oh, maybe we can go for more questions. Okay. We've got a little bit more time than I actually thought. So some of the other questions were around, let me just quickly go up to the top of those ones. Dealing with smart and skilled applicants, Michael.
Yes.
So some of the fees might vary depending on the status.
Yes, correct. So we basically have a special settings for smart and skilled enrolments. Not too many of the details are collected up front, but there are settings that you can enable that are tailored towards smart and skilled enrolments.
And a good question come in here as well around can applicants save an enrolment and come back to it?
Yes, absolutely. So there's a feature that we call save for later. So someone can, particularly in a long multi-page enrolment process, they can save their enrolment to return to later. When they hit the button, they'll receive an email with a link just tailored to them, and they can come back to that link anytime they like and pick it up and resume from where they left off.
I've got one question in here from Sharon. Can you do just the enrolment? So I'm guessing that that's probably an enrolment without a payment you're asking about, Sharon. Michael, can you talk us through that?
Yes, you can. So in addition to the other methods that I showed you, there is an option to send someone straight to an occurrence and they can complete their information without having to go through the course selection process. So if you've already qualified a student and thought that they're eligible for a particular course and even a particular price. So for example, if in the case of a skills Vic enrolment, you might want to collect a small deposit up front, you can actually set parameters up so that that can all be taken care of in the enrolment process. Or if you wanted, pretty much flexible to cover most of those kinds of circumstances.
And another payment one here, how would we deal with direct debit options at the moment? Okay, so direct debit options is if you've got a easy debit or debit success account, you can enable within VetTrack those integrations. And when they're enabled, you can set that up as a payment option on your VetEnroll courses. And when the student chooses that option, they get to set up various preferences about how often they'd like to pay and how much they'd like to pay. That information gets passed into VetTrack, and you can use that at the time of setting up their payment agreement as information to base how you might set their payment plan up. So in short, it collects the student's preferences and pushes those to VetTrack so you can see what preferences the student has nominated and then go from there. And is there one question that's come in, is there any basic reporting that we can do on enrolments? Yes, so in addition to anything you can do in VetTrack, there is VetEnroll itself comes with an admin portal, which is used mostly for configuration and setup of all your options, but there are also options in there for reporting as well. So we're actually able to track all visitors that do come to your site, and you're able to sort of see how they've progressed through the site as well. There's also reports about people by referral source and some general statistic reports. Another payment report, which might be handy for your accounting person to look at to see when transactions have come into VetEnroll that they may not be aware of. And there's also the ability to export your data, raw data out of VetEnroll into a Excel spreadsheet if you need that as well. Okay, I've got one question in here. It's quite a long question. It's from Fee. We receive SRTO notices which we accept to get apprentices under user choice funding. The apprentice will then appear on the DESBT Queensland record for our RTO. Does VetEnroll interface with that type of instance or enrolls into VetTrack, or can VetTrack do that? No, unfortunately, we don't have any functionality like that at the moment. Maybe someone could send that to, or take note of that as a suggestion down the track, but no, not at the moment. But you can still take all the enrolment information and add that contract information later on, but there's just no automated way to do that. And then one here from Ben, which I think you touched on, adding in the LLN questions. How do we tend to do that? Okay, so yeah, our LLN, I'm aware there are some other LLN programs out there that people might want to use. Our LLN is a fairly simple process. It's basically, you can create it yourself, or we can give you some example ones for you to work from. Basically, you create
upload a picture and ask questions about that picture and capture LLM information based on that. It's not the fully certified one like, say, an LLM robot is, but it does the job in simple circumstances.
Thanks, Michael. And one around the USI from Alicia. Does VetEnroll verify that the USI the individual puts in matches against the USI registry to their name and date of birth at the time that they do their enrolment this way, or not until you go into their individual profiles and actually click the verify?
Yeah. At this stage, it's still a VetTrack thing. That is in our pipeline to look at, though. The new USI solution has just gone live in the last few days, and that's something on our radar to look at in the short to medium term. So that will come one day, but not at the moment.
And a couple of questions we've got come in, which really all sort of fall into the communications that we can do through VetEnroll, such as reminders or confirmations. Can you maybe speak to that a little, Michael, on what sort of notifications we can set up?
Yeah, so there are a few different notifications. They're all email based. So the first notification that happens is when someone registers for a course, they can get the standard email. And you can set that up globally, and that might be as complex as your needs are. But you can also set up per course a particular receipt. So if you had some extra reporting or information peculiar to that particular qualification that you need students to have up front, you can set it up so that an email, when someone enrolled in a particular qualification or course, that information was emailed directly to students as soon as they completed their enrolment. There are also processes, so for example, in the group booking process, there's also the ability to send out, so the employer nominates for their enrolment, they get a notification, but there's also the ability to send out the individual students that have been nominated to get a data completion email so that they can go in and complete their AVETMIS information and USI and things like that.
Thanks, Michael. And sorry, carry on.
Oh, yeah, and there's also the ability to just add manual email notifications within VetEnroll as well.
Yeah, thanks. The one that's come in here, and I guess this is just about how flexible we can actually gather that information, but a specific question has come in saying, can you use VetEnroll to complete skills first eligibility as part of the enrolment?
Yes, you can. Yeah. So there's also the VIC student number step as well, that you can capture the students' agreement to their particular terms and conditions as well.
Thanks, Michael. One question has come in from Ben around I guess getting information from a CRM into VetEnroll. Can you talk to that for a sec?
Yeah, it's possible to do some things like that. It's probably a more complex question that we need to take offline. But it's possible to produce a VetEnroll link that has some of the information pre-filled, so that when you're pushing from a CRM to a VetEnroll link, when the student clicks on that link, they don't have to type their name and date of birth in and things like that, perhaps.
Okay, I'm just having a quick look through the rest of these questions. I think we've covered off most of them. There's a couple that are very specific to something that's going on for those customers, so I'll take those offline and address them.
I can just see one there about the Stripe gateway.
Oh yeah, that one's come up. Yeah.
Yeah, the Stripe gateway, outside of our control, unfortunately, we can't give you that for free. But I can tell you that there are no setup fees as such, but you do pay a commission on all transactions. That fee is very competitive with other providers, so pretty confident that it's one of the best value for money integrations that there are for VetEnroll.
Thanks, Michael. And there's one coming from Craig, and I guess this is around the collection of information at Enroll. Craig says, what about multiple state regulations?
Oh, yes, so VetEnroll can cater to that because it works out which state you've set the enrolment up in VETtrak based on the occurrence. And for the various different states, it can present different pages of information. So, for example, if you're a Victorian or a Tasmanian-based RTO, in those circumstances, it will identify the new VET questions, but won't necessarily do that for other jurisdictions.
And then another one's just come in. Can disability unemployment support letters be verified, or does this need to be followed up on later?
Yes, we can collect those and the student can submit those as part of the process, but they aren't verified by VetEnroll. That need to be done later.
Okie dokie. I think that's most of them that have come in. If we haven't got to your question yet, I'll make sure that we don't miss any of those. But thank you everyone for joining today. It's been great to have so many of you online. Hopefully you've got some value from that, and you continue to watch the rest of the webinars that we've got coming out over the next few weeks. And have a great day. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.